President Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine has not gone according to plan.
Russia has launched fresh attacks across Ukraine.
You've seen the news, and it's horrible. And I'll be real, over the last week, I've been guilty of constantly checking my phone for live updates of what's happening and feeling anxious, dreadful, unfocused, just all these horrible emotions, wondering what I can do and what's going to happen next. And as I flick through social media, I'm sure lots of you are feeling the same way. And in this video, I want to offer some balanced, practical tips to help you manage your focus, your mental health, and just approach this in a balanced and healthy way. My name's Keshav, and let's talk about it. I think the first and most important thing that I can say is there's a lot of things that I just don't know, I don't understand, I'm not qualified to talk about. I wish I did have some Yoda sage-like wisdom that I could share with you. I don't. But I think one question to ask is, am I engaging with this in a healthy and empathetic way? Because if there's one thing that I do know, it's that repeatedly viewing images of distress, of people being displaced, of bombs going off, of all these things, and looking at it over and over and over and over, that has a harmful effect, and it doesn't really help anyone. In the age of a 24-hour news cycle where we have access to millions of articles, op-ed pieces, and even live streams of conflict, we have to ask the question, what is this doing to our mental and emotional well-being? Well, it turns out there is a term for this, and it's something called the slow drip effect. It's what psychologists call secondary or vicarious traumatization achieved through repeated exposure to traumatic imagery. What we are seeing, in effect, is a kind of mental health war where news stories are packaged with fear-based headlines designed to get more clicks because of the emotional responses that they trigger. Think of some of the front pages, headlines, and images you've been exposed to recently. What do you notice first in this image here or here? What do you notice about how it makes you feel, and who does that benefit? It's not that we shouldn't be informed or be aware of what is happening. We should. But as with anything in life, the dose makes the poison. Some of us will have greater windows of tolerance than others, and we have to find the right sweet spot of balance. On one end of the spectrum is total apathy and ignorance, which is not what we want. And on the other is an enraged emotional response where we are left with no control and our emotional chimp mind takes over. And it's in this state that we are the most susceptible and vulnerable. The first most practical thing that you can do is to set your own parameters and boundaries. And I think with things like this, there are three ways we can engage. You can be totally uninformed, where you turn a blind eye, you don't engage. And for me, that's not where I want to be. I want to be empathetic. I want to understand the suffering of other people. So that's one option of apathy. So let's rule that out. The second option is you can be under or misinformed. And that's where a lot of people are, including me, to be fair, is I don't know much about the history of this. I understand what the news is reporting to me, but there is a good difference between journalism and good quality news versus reporting things. And we have to understand that these massive websites, even places like BBC, Sky News, etc., whilst they make their efforts to be representative and balanced and all those things, am I really getting good quality news? And what is the agenda of the news source that I'm engaging with? Because I can listen to Russell Brand, I can listen to Ben Shapiro, Joe Rogan, Keshav, Bhatt, Jay Shetty. There's all these voices out there. But the critical question to ask is, what is the agenda here? Is it to get more clicks, more views, by selling fear-based images of people crying, people losing and leaving their homes so that they can get more eyeballs on their website and in turn generate more revenue for ads? Or is it something else? I'm a big fan of something called delayed gratification, which sends you the news but really slowly. And what happens is, instead of getting a news cycle that lasts 2 weeks and then moving on to the next thing, it follows a story for a good 3 to 6 months before you get sent this little journal in the post, and you can read through things in a bit more detail with a bit more critical insight. But that key question, am I underinformed? Am I misinformed? Am I only getting one part of the picture? And what am I missing? And then you've got this third category, which is being balanced, being informed, and finding good quality information where you're not checking every 10 minutes, but in a healthy and measured way. The key thing to ask yourself is Am I raging into the void? Am I tweeting unnecessarily? If I get onto these platforms and I start writing, oh my God, we are finished, like nuclear war is about to happen, what good is that doing anyone? Or am I just putting my untempered, raging inner chimp out into the world for other people to deal with? It's perfectly natural and normal when you're consuming the news regularly like this to feel a sense of survivorship bias and privilege. And that's a difficult thing in its own right to grapple with. But I think the thing to think about here is, yes, I have an unfair advantage. The question then is, what are you going to do with that? And this is where I'm a big fan of the effective altruism movement, which is basically the idea that you want to think through what is the highest good that you can create based on who you are, what you have, and what you can do. Raging on Twitter, checking the news cycles constantly, that's probably not the most healthy thing in the world. But maybe you can start a fundraiser, maybe you can donate some clothes, maybe you can support someone mentally, emotionally from afar. Maybe you can become better, well-versed on the history of this crisis and how we got here. But what is the most good you can do with what you have? And focus your energy on that. For me, I think a lot about the people who have been displaced, because working with refugees is something that's really close to my heart. Those of you who followed my channel for a while know that I volunteered in the refugee camp in Calais several times, and also my own family. We migrated from East Africa over to India and then to the UK and faced all kinds of struggles there. And so it's something that I have deep empathy for. Me watching a live stream of Kiev and seeing bombs drop over and over again, if it's going to make me more numb, that's not helping anyone. Often in our culture, we face this pressure to be up to date on every single issue, that you need to have a stance, you need to be cruelty-free, you need to be climate friendly, you need to be vegan, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's up to you to decide which of those is most important. But I think something to consider that the media doesn't. You and your life, the context. Maybe you are caring for a sick relative right now, and so you're hardly sleeping and you're not able to process everything and to really be able to be informed right now. Maybe you've got a new baby on the way. Maybe you are working on your own mental health issues and challenges. Wherever you are, again, I want to come back to that question. What is the most good I can do with the capacity that I do have so that I can engage in this in a healthy and balanced way, which I've repeated several times in this video. If there's one thing that I do know, and like I said, there's lots I don't, is that the breakthroughs, the answers are not going to come from more emotional dysregulation, from ranting aimlessly on social media platforms without thinking in an informed and credible way, and that no breakthrough ever came from more judgment and more shame. I'm going to be donating all of the proceeds from this video to charity, so take a look in the description for details around that. And if you found this video helpful, feel free to share it with a friend in case it helps them. But above all, let me know in the comments what you think and what you're thinking about right now. I'm really interested in engaging with you on this, and yeah, I look forward to reading them. Peace.